One unnamed TikTok executive put it in stark terms, saying the reason kids watch TikTok is because the power of the app's algorithm keeps them from, quote, sleep and eating and moving around the room and looking at someone in the eyes. Yes. Yes.
How do you, as a TikTok executive, write that sentence down
then say,
I'm doing a great job at work?
I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Max Fisher.
So earlier this week, Donald Trump, heard of him?
It rings a bell.
He sat down with Bloomberg for a lengthy interview in front of the Economic Club of Chicago.
Oh, my God.
I know, exactly.
Really wild
You know what? Exactly how you think. He got 2 offline questions. Not about us, but offline type questions.
In a sense, they were about us.
One was about the DOJ's Google antitrust suit, and one was about the future of TikTok. I think we have a clip from that interview. Let's play it.
TikTok and the threat people see to many kind of American children and things like that.
Yeah, but
why do you no longer see TikTok as a security threat?
I think it is a threat. Frankly, I think everything's a threat. There's nothing that's not a threat.
There's nothing that's not a threat.
Healthy outlook.
That was wild.
So in the rest of his Google answer, he elaborates and he explains that Google has been unfair to him in the sense that when he loads up Google News personally, he does not like the headlines that he sees.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Which is so wild because it made me think these tech companies could be saving billions of dollars on legal fees and lobbyists if they would just send a kid from Home Depot over to Trump's house and show him how to set up his Google News feed. It's easy to do. I set mine up. You see different headlines, then you like the headlines, and then Google will live to fight another day.
Yeah. Just like you type in Donald Trump in his feed, and it's just like, Donald Trump is great.
Some nice stuff.
He's a builder.
A big thumbs up emoji. That's it. You're done.
Threat? Everything's a threat.
Honestly, Alphabet, call me. I could save you
also,
billions.
I wish the guy hadn't said that Alphabet is what the parent company of Google
he
now.
Just didn't know.
He would not have known at all.
He tries to break
up
the wrong company.
He said Alphabet, and he was probably like, "Oh shit, what is Alphabet?" You can see the brain going. Anyway, he didn't have any good answers to that, so it will be cool if he's president again. But wanted to spend a moment today checking back in on TikTok, which, as a reminder, is still facing a ban in January of 2025.
It's coming up.
Unless it finds a U.S. buyer, a U.S.-based buyer. Last week, a bipartisan group of more than a dozen state attorneys general sued TikTok over claims that the app maker violated consumer protection laws by designing an intentionally addictive video sharing app and by knowingly lying to the public about the app's harms. The lawsuits contain all kinds of internal communications, documents, and research data that were redacted from public view due to confidentiality agreements these authorities entered with TikTok. But while filing the suit, the Office of the Kentucky Attorney General committed an error, accidentally revealing the documents that were supposed to be kept secret.
I love
that.
As a
Good
reporter,
job.
Nothing you love more.
Good job, Kentucky Attorney General's office. What in the leaked docs did you find the most compelling? I have quite a list, but you start. This was wild, by the way.
Do we want to do like a tier ranking? Do we want to do like a draft style, like your favorite details of the TikTok?
Just start going.
Okay, I have 3. The big one, the big headline is TikTok's own internal research found that, quote, compulsive usage correlates with a slew of negative mental health effects like loss of analytical skills, memory formation, contextual thinking, conversational depth, empathy, and increased anxiety. Just go ahead, just keep clocking into work every day, TikTok employees. Just knowing that you're creating something that is deliberately or is knowingly harming people. I think the other big 2 for the lawsuit and talking about regulation, TikTok's research finds that it fails to remove, the platform fails to remove 1/3 of content normalizing pedophilia, 30% of content leading minors off platform, so the implication there is potentially to be contacted, 50% of glorification of minor sexual assault, and 100% of content fetishizing minors, and TikTok's internal guidance actively discourages removing children under 13 from the platform if parents or teachers flag the account, as long as the account does not proactively identify itself as under 13, which is nuts.
And they learned that kids as young as 15 were stripping for coins on live feeds.
Yes.
and
That's been
other
a problem
rewards.
for a couple of years now.
Unbelievable. So a couple other things. TikTok noted they have a feature that lets parents set time limits on the app. And one document, this is according to an NPR story about this, shows a TikTok project manager speaking candidly about the time limits feature's real goal. And they said, quote, improving public trust in the TikTok platform via media coverage, the TikTok employee said. Our goal is not to reduce the time spent. It's just to improve public trust via media coverage.
I missed that one. That is nuts.
Yeah.
Wow, really saying it out loud.
One unnamed TikTok executive put it in stark terms, saying the reason kids watch TikTok is because the power of the app's algorithm keeps them from, quote, sleep and eating and moving around the room and looking at someone in the eyes. Yes. Yes.
How do you, as a TikTok executive, write that sentence down and then say, "I'm doing a great job at work. I'm really benefiting humanity, looking people in the eye."
Documents also show that they went so far as to tweak the algorithm to reduce the visibility of people it deemed not very attractive and, quote, took active steps to promote a narrow beauty norm, even though it could negatively impact their young users.
Wow.
I didn't even know you could do that with an algorithm.
Sure, they can do whatever they want.
They also quantified the precise amount of viewing it takes for someone to form a habit.
I saw that.
260 videos, which can be seen in under 35 minutes.
35
minutes to get hooked.
I have to tell you, I think that is correct.
This radicalized me
Really?
even more against TikTok.
How so?
Just thinking about my kids,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't want them to have the phone and to have this on the phone, and like you're just gonna lose them.
Is it more knowing the danger from the platform, or is it knowing that TikTok knows that it's dangerous for them?
It's that. That just makes me mad.
Sure.
The idea of it makes me scared. The idea of them
Yeah.
having it makes me scared.
Right.
This makes me mad.
Yeah.
It's
unconscionable.
What do you think about the lawsuits and their chance of succeeding, sort of as a strategy? Interestingly, the AGs are all saying that they would have done this even if TikTok was an American-owned company.
Sure.
So this is not about
Right.
CCP, Chinese Communist Party control over the algorithm or over ByteDance, all that kind of stuff, national security. This is just like pure addiction stuff.
So my understanding is that in this lawsuit specifically and generally that the kind of legal kill shot is being able to prove that TikTok was intentionally collecting data on children under 13 without parental consent, which is illegal under federal privacy laws, and that is kind of the place where they're able to get them, and that proving that TikTok is harming users' mental well-being or that TikTok lied to consumers, it's one thing to prove that, but Section 230 makes it difficult to bring any sort of legal charges over that. It's worth trying for sure, and they can definitely rhetorically and morally make a case that TikTok is harming us and harming our children. And there's probably a pretty good case that that is a big intent of the suit, is to bring people's attention to, we know what TikTok is doing.
I was going to say, I feel like some of the stuff we just read about those, what we learned from the leaked internal documents is probably the most, the real value of this lawsuit, because otherwise it feels like the legal standard is quite high for this.
Right.
But when it comes to the ban, which is also working its way through the court system, what do you think actually happens there?
So it seems like nobody really knows. I mean, there was a Washington Post headline on this that said, yes, TikTok could still be banned. There was a hearing last month in front of some federal judges. The TikTok is trying to get the suit dismissed on free speech grounds. Both sides in the trial asked for a ruling by December because they want to get through the appeal before that January 19th deadline, which of course is one day before the inauguration. Interestingly, a Pew poll found that people no longer believe TikTok will be banned, or a majority of people no longer believe it, and support for a ban has slipped. It was 50%, I think it was a year ago, now it's at 32%, 22 to 28% oppose, so it's still slightly more people support banning it than oppose it.
It feels like the support has dropped more than the opposition has risen, which makes me feel like a part of that at least is it faded from the headlines, and so there's a lot more people who are just like, I don't know.
Right. And it does, when you're removed from it, you start to lose sense with the immediate real-world stakes from it, and it starts to feel like it's just a platform. And it's so easy to have an individual experience with TikTok that is fine, or there's maybe a little harmful for you, but you kind of think, oh, it's not that bad. I think, should we really ban the platform? But it is tough in our society specifically to think about banning a social media platform because we have had such a norm for so long that the state does not get involved in regulating our media. That is a big, bright red line with the one exception of obscenity on public airwaves. We'll regulate food, we'll regulate the safety of, the water, of chemicals in the air, but we have this idea that the state should not get involved in what media you consume and don't consume. So what's been happening over the last 50 years is our media has been getting more and more dangerous for us and more harmful. And we all know that.
Yeah.
No one disputes that our media, from network news to cable news to the internet to social platforms to TikTok, has been getting worse and worse for us and for society. But it feels hard to finally take a stand and say this is the moment where we're drawing a line and saying that TikTok has gone too far in being harmful for the public well-being.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think Kamala Harris has been asked about the ban.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I've definitely not seen her talking about it, which is probably
I'm sure
the
she
right
doesn't want
move.
to.
Right, of course, yeah.
But I wonder how that would change if, because obviously Biden, I mean,
Right.
the legislation has been signed,
Right.
but I'm sure that there's there's punting to
And
do.
I'm sure she has a. Where are you on whether it should be banned?
Ugh, it's still tough because I do think that we said this before. I do think the government owes it. I mean, it's too late. The legislation's already passed, but I do think the government owes it to people to let the public know, just from a building public trust standpoint,
Right.
why it is dangerous. And clearly why the government believes it's dangerous is not just what the lawsuit that these AGs are bringing. In fact, their case is what the Chinese government can do, and it's data privacy.
Yeah, right.
And it's also sort of manipulation, algorithm, propaganda. I think they're a little shakier on that from a national security perspective,
agree.
and they probably got to lean more on the either they're from the extreme case of they're looking at your keystrokes, which some member of Congress said after leaving one of these briefings,
Right.
even though no one was specific, to just vacuuming up a ton of data,
Right.
but it's a foreign government doing so.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think that I'm not saying I think that federal regulators have ulterior motives, but I think that the best case for banning TikTok is different than the legal case that the Biden administration is advancing.
Yes, I
and
agree.
that there's a little bit of overlap, but they're mostly quite separate.
Unfortunately, it's time for us to check in on Elon Musk, since clearly none of his friends and family are. The world's richest man turned MAGA shitposter has temporarily relocated to Pittsburgh for the final weeks of the election so he can knock doors for Donald Trump, the man he has unironically told people he, quote, loves, and has shown that affection by so far spending $500 million to help him win.
Wow.
This is according to a New York Times piece that says Elon has been, quote, manic about the stakes of the election.
Fun word choice.
I know. And let's not forget Elon's greatest gift of all, buying and using one of the most influential social media platforms in the world to amplify pro-MAGA propaganda to hundreds of millions of users. Elon does have more followers than anyone else on the platform, 200 million. So that's another gift to Trump. We also learned from the Times that Musk has worked with the Trump campaign directly to censor anti-Trump content. In this case, Elon suspended journalist Ken Klippenstein and blocked links to his article about the Trump campaign's J.D. Vance research dossier after the campaign asked the platform to prevent circulation of Klippenstein's piece because it was from an Iranian hack. What do you make of all this? And there's a lot to go through here. The Pennsylvania move, the $500 million, the censorship, Elon jumping up and down at a Trump rally. We haven't even got to talk about that.
The big jump. It is wild to me that this story is just every right-wing conspiracy about politics, except it's about the right and it's true. The major social platform being manipulated by the...
It's all projection.
By the billionaire partisan owner who wants to put microchips in our brain and is backed financially by the Saudis. That's true. That's the thing that's happening.
It's you wouldn't believe it if it was a
Do we think Elon is hanging out at Comet Ping Pong a lot these days? He's just running back Pizzagate. Look, I mean, I think that this is not like a newspaper endorsing a candidate, or it's not even like Fox News, putting it all on the line for Trump, because social media algorithms shape your reality indirectly in a way that is very hard for you to see when you're looking at your feed individually. And we know that Elon is already doing this because we know, just you mentioned this, his account alone is pushing a huge amount of pro-Trump, far-right, straight-up disinformation and lies. And we know from a ton of reporting that his account is being artificially amplified by the algorithm. So even if that is the only thing that is happening in terms of him using Twitter to deliberately manipulate political sentiment, that in and of itself is huge.
Yep.
Now, is it quote-unquote election interference? I'm not sure I would go that far. There's a lot of people who are making that claim, but it's definitely fucking bad.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. And it's like, I think the Times piece said this too, like there's no analogous situation in history of someone that rich controlling
With that much
that
money.
that much power in
Right.
terms of amplification, you know, able to like sort of pump out propaganda,
Right.
than this.
And willing to do it.
And willing to do it. And again, it's weird to say this, but it is a step worse than Fox News.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
like Fox News now is even worse, but like back in the day, it was like conservative propaganda,
Sure.
loosely fact checked sometimes.
Right. Yeah. right.
Like there
right.
was some standards, they
Yeah.
weren't great. There was some shame, not
and
much.
And news before 5 p.m.
But like Elon, like I finally muted him.
Oh, I did it
Because it was
years ago.
It was I was like, well, let's check in on what the crazy guy's saying. But it was too much, and it's like getting too dark and too
Yeah,
crazy,
it
and
is.
just like
It's disturbing.
It's disturbing, and I'm not learning anything new. Like I want to know what the other side is thinking, and I
Of
want to know
course.
what the
Right,
conspiracies
right.
are. But like it's like I get it, man. It's like replacement theory all the way down.
Yeah.
End of the world
I
if
know.
if Trump
It's
doesn't
really-
win.
yes.
Like in the New York Times piece also, it was interesting in that it shows how Elon went from I don't want Joe Biden to win again, but I don't know about Trump.
Right.
To like, okay, I want to secretly help Trump, but even though I don't, it's like lesser of two evils. To like, I actually love Trump, and I'm going to jump up and down.
Yes.
Like, this is a man who has been radicalized. Nothing in the world has changed.
Right.
Elon's brain has changed.
Yes. And we've
From
talked about
using this
before,
product.
He's kind of like your classic Obama-Trump voter, where it's like clearly there was just like too much social change, too much social progress, and
Yep.
something in his brain broke. I think something that is easy to miss about part of the harm that Elon is bringing, because it's so out in the open and so in our face, is that if you think back to 2016, there was so much far-right rhetoric, so many far-right ideas and misinformation that was associated with the campaign, but it was kind of filtered through these like small to medium influencers like Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
And there would be this kind of disconnect where it's like the Trump campaign wouldn't say it, or they would go only so far, and then this loose collective of like far-right Reddit trolls on Twitter would amplify it. But now we have the most followed voice on social media who is pushing this every single day, day in and day out. And I think that does a ton to, I know this is the most overused word in the fucking world, to normalize it and to move the Overton window by just saying, it's like, well, it's in the equivalent of the CNN Chiron on Twitter every single day. And but part of this that really disturbs me is Musk's price for helping Trump. Did you read about that? The government efficiency commission that he wants to run, which is just going to be Trump's special commission for firing all the regulators. And Musk has said that the two regulatory agencies he really wants to target for purging the regulators are, here we go, the EPA, of course, and the FAA.
Well, why?
Because he gets a lot of fines at SpaceX because he's
wonderful.
launching exploding rockets into the sky.
I'm not
So
getting on planes anymore.
he
That's it. If I
he's
needed
been
a push.
open about it. So, okay, maybe whatever how you feel about climate change, do you want the planes to fly? Don't vote for Donald Trump.
So that I do think that the on the propaganda side, on the like using his platform to help Trump, like that is all. It's not only nefarious, but I think it's effective.
Yeah.
I will say the Elon moving to Pennsylvania, personally going door knocking, and sort of basically the Trump campaign has outsourced much of their GOTV operation, the Get Out the Vote operation, the field operation, to Elon's super PAC. And Elon's super PAC is also like gobbling up other super PACs too on the right, and they're trying to like all.
Right.
And what I have heard, not just from Democratic strategists, but people who have talked to people on the Trump campaign and like Trump strategists, is that the weakest part of their entire campaign, the operation, is this Elon pack field
Really?
operation. Yeah, it's like a fucking mess.
Well, that's good news.
I know, that is good. This was like a small silver lining, and they were like, I heard someone say like, if we lose, it'll be this. Like they feel very confident about a lot of things, but they worry about the
What
Washington
is
Post
the thing
just had
that they're getting wrong?
the Washington Post had a great story about this that just popped before we started recording. But it's like, you can't build a field operation with like a month to go. Like these are things that like you get people in the right. And Elon's like, they're hiring people last minute to go out there. The app keeps breaking down. Elon's management style is like turning people off. They're knocking on doors of like people who the app's telling them to go to like Harris supporter doors, and it's hard to recruit people. Like the whole thing is just a big mess.
I did see there was some story about hundreds of door knockers got stranded somewhere because Musk personally intervened and was just like, no, you're out. Which is, it's like, these are not Twitter engineers who you can just fire on a whim. You need these people. Although it is going to be an interesting test on whether door knocking actually works, which I know is a live debate.
Yeah, no, I know. But I think this is probably not going to work. Which is not to say like Trump, it's still a coin flip election. Trump can win, right? But if he wins, I don't think it's not because of Elon Musk's door operation.
It's true.
And I think, in fact, it shows how has Elon been at Tesla? How has he been at Twitter? Right. Now he's running. Now he thinks gets involved, gets manic, screams at a bunch of people, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, thinks he's a genius at everything, isn't.
Right. He's a showman.
But I will say this, there's another super PAC associated with him that's running ads, and this stuff is also nefarious, much like the Twitter stuff, which is they are running one ad in Michigan that says, talks about how Kamala is a steadfast supporter of Israel, and they're running it in Dearborn and Arab American and Muslim precincts. And then in Pennsylvania, in Jewish areas, Kamala is pandering to the Palestinians, and she's secretly campaigning for Palestine. Yeah, same place, two different ends. So cynical. So cynical.
I am worried about the Jill Stein vote in Michigan. I really am.
Yeah, no, everyone's. I was there when we went canvassing, and I heard from someone who's like very well connected on the ground and doing some stuff, saying that they're worried that they have heard both from Arab Americans, Muslim Americans who are like, I can't vote, and Jewish Americans who said I can't because because Biden and Harris are. I know.
Welcome to the Israel-Palestine conflict.
I know, it's tough. What do you think about the greatest free speech censorship scandal since the Hunter Biden laptop affair?
So this is okay. To explain what's going on here, it's not just the thing that you mentioned earlier about independent Substack journalist Ken Klippenstein getting his account banned because he tweeted out this link to the Trump docs that were hacked by the Iranians. It was links to, I think specifically a New York Post story.
It was a New York Post story, yeah.
About Hunter Biden's laptop got found and someone took the files off of it and the New York Post wrote it up, which was itself a reaction, correction, maybe an overcorrection from 2016 when media outlets published a bunch of stories based on Russian hacks of John Podesta's emails, remember the Hillary Clinton emails? And those were everywhere. And then after 2020, everybody was like, let's not do that again. So let's not make too big of a deal out of the Hunter Biden laptop stuff just because we have it. And people on the right have been using that as evidence that the media is biased against them and is suppressing news that is helpful to Republicans. I think this is, it's not going to shock you, I think this is worse than the Hunter Biden thing. Not just on the merits, because I actually don't know how important these documents really are. They don't seem like they're that big of a deal, but because a social platform being deliberately partisan in its moderation is worse than what happened in 2020, which is social platforms trying to do the right thing and arguably may have been unintentionally partisan.
Right. And also, the Trump people get this wrong, but like the Hunter Biden thing was when Donald Trump was president.
That's true.
That was his administration, so it wasn't Joe Biden.
Right.
And then what the Biden administration tried to do was about COVID misinformation, which again was not supposed to be partisan.
And they didn't, and they weren't ordering platforms to suppress it. They were just telling them, hey, we saw this post.
And again, there's a whole debate to be had about if there's hacked material, should the hacked material be allowed on social media platforms?
It's a tough question.
And you can decide, no, we're going to take it down and it's not allowed. But then you have to do that. It has to be a standard across the board, right? And like, let's see if Kamala Harris's campaign was hacked tomorrow and they reached out to Elon at X, do you think they would take that down?
Yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Well, we might not. I hope we don't.
We should note before we move on that Elon is still keeping his day job. This week, At an event up the road in Burbank, Musk unveiled his long-awaited Cybercab, which is just a self-driving car that looks a bit like a mini Cybertruck. At the event, Musk also unveiled a prototype of Optimus, a humanoid robot that Tesla claims will eventually use AI to complete daily tasks, and were used at the event to serve drinks at the bar with the assistance of a human control person.
Didn't tell people that in the time. They said it's a robot. They said it's a robot with AI. And it turned out there was a human controller. It was all smoke and mirrors.
What do you make of the Cybercab and the robot in the whole event?
So the Cybercab is just a Waymo car, except later and not as good.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I was going to say. Because
we already have it.
Yeah, I didn't
already
realize.
have it.
So Waymo's only in 4 cities, for people who don't know.
Yes.
We have it in L.A. It is a self-driving car.
Sure.
It is a little surprising when
It's
you
a
see
little-
one.
yeah, you
I
notice,
kind of
yeah.
felt like no one told me that we're here yet and doing self-driving cars.
I know,
And
it's
I'm just
surprising,
driving my kid to school, and suddenly he's like, "Dad, there's no one in that car, and it's moving." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What? No one told me about the Waymo?"
There was a video that was circulating a couple days ago of a Waymo randomly parked just like in the middle of traffic, and there was some poor traffic cop went up to the car and kept trying to wave it forward. I know you really feel for him because it's like, what else are you gonna do? But also, it's a car. It doesn't understand waving.
And so Waymo is from Google or Alphabet.
Yes.
We have to tell Trump. And they have been around for a little while, and they have like all of these safety data points that are like pretty. Someone said this, I can't remember who, that it drives like a kid who's getting like in driving school, and it's like student driver kind of thing. That's sort of how they go, because it's
all
like,
gas and brakes.
It's overly cautious, which is probably what you'd want in your driverless car.
I think so.
Now Elon Musk for about like 6 years has been saying. The Tesla self-driving car is right around the corner. It's happening next year, and it's going to lead the industry. And it just kept getting punted and punted.
Right.
And still, there's some of the stories about this event where like it was like bumping into shit.
Right.
It got stuck in a tunnel. The guy, he really is like Trump.
Yes.
In that like it
It's all
is
smoke and
smoke, mirrors,
yes.
a big show. He knows how to put the show on. He's jumping around. He's doing stuff, and it's like. Also, you see like a bunch of senior executives at Tesla have been like leaving over the
they've
last.
been leaving in droves. Yes, so an important thing to understand here is the reason that Elon Musk is as rich as he is. It's not because Tesla sells a lot of electric cars. It's not because of SpaceX. It's definitely not because of Twitter. The reason that he is so rich is because of this promise that he is one day going to launch a self-driving car that is so amazing that it completely dominates the future self-driving car and self-driving taxi industry. And the reason that is the thing that makes him rich is that Tesla's stock price is where all of his wealth is, and Tesla's stock price is not pegged to Tesla's sales of electric cars, which are declining as a share of the overall market. It's pegged to this promise that one day we are going to create and dominate this market. And investors they're split on Tesla, but a lot of them are starting to wise up to the fact that this is never coming, and that therefore Tesla is wildly overvalued based on its actual profits and costs. And its stock price dropped, I think, a little over 10% right after this big demo that was supposed to be his big lifesaver, because Tesla has been, I'm not going to say it's not been doing well, still makes a ton of money, still incredibly rich, but it is not living up to the promise that, as you said, he has been hinging the company on for years. And the more clear that becomes, the more the stock price is going to drop and the less rich he's going to be. And I think this is why he's doing all the Trump stuff.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's going to need help.
Well, also, his approval rating among Democrats has fallen to 6% in the last NBC News poll. 6%.
So Mark Zuckerberg.
That is what he has done. And like, who do you think's buying a lot of the Teslas?
Right.
Maybe most of the Teslas.
Yeah.
I would bet. Or used to be probably Democrats.
As someone who used to spend a lot of time at public LA charging stations, it is a lot of rich Republicans who own Teslas, because
I could see that.
They start talking to you whether you want them to or not, and the number one thing they tell you is that they're going to move out of California because the gun control is too strict here, which is clearly not true.
See you later. Bye. Anyway, so Elon's just crushing it. We'll not be getting into self-driving Tesla anytime soon.
Or a personal robot, because they don't work. They fake the personal robot. That's a crazy thing to do in front of investors. And they knew it was fake, too. John, what would you have your personal robot do?
My personal. Ooh.
Let me tell you what Elon Musk said he would have his do: babysit his kids and be his friend.
Jesus Christ. It's so on brand.
It's, I mean, just the
Anything,
insight to the mind.
anything human that I need to do? My human tasks. My emotions. Can it carry my emotions?
It's
for
really
me?
the window into his soul.
Yeah.
That the thing that he needs to invent a robot
Not
for
like
is parent and
mundane
friend.
tasks so you can spend more time with your family and friends.
No,
Instead,
no.
it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's be my family and friends. Take care of my family and friends so I can spend more
Because
time
I've alienated all of them.
posting.
Yes, that's
One last thing for all you porn enthusiasts. If you're perusing your favorite adult content and you suddenly see Donald Trump's face on your screen, don't be alarmed. Or do be alarmed. But know that it's actually a good thing. And no, we haven't found the P-tape. We are talking about an anti...
You really went for it with this one.
You know, some of these are mine. Austin had a few in here, too. He had the
Okay.
P-tape
Hell yeah.
one. Really
Hell
got to
yeah,
hand it
Austin.
to him for that. Anyway, we're talking about an anti-Trump super PAC that's planning to run 10-second ads on select porn sites in swing states for the final 2 weeks of the campaign. The ads, which will play before videos, an amuse-bouche, if you will, feature a photo of Donald Trump alongside the words, Trump's Project 2025 will ban this video. Enjoy it while you can. And then the ad encourages users to Google Trump porn ban, something I'm sure everyone watching that video will definitely immediately want to do.
Don't Google anything with the
You're
words
watching
Trump
the
and
video,
porn in it.
you're getting to the good part, but then you start it's just...
What do you think the
seems
autocomplete
like some
is
tough multitasking.
when you type in Trump and porn? What do you
I
think is
don't-
the
I
third
don't-
word?
I
You know what?
don't-
Let's try it right now.
We're gonna do it?
Let's try it right now. Trump, porn. Oh, you know what? It doesn't show you the autocomplete because of Google's, because of big tech censorship.
Fuck, see? It's everywhere. Anyway, Wally Nowinski, one of the founders of the PAC, told Newsweek, quote, half of the Trump coalition is really into things like Project 2025's abortion ban, porn ban, and the conservative agenda, but the other half is like Barstool sports bros who just want to be left alone. We've been saying that. Tommy's been saying this forever.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that like the Project 2025 porn ban is a real way, like this whole just
Yeah.
discourse about
Right.
Democrats' problems with younger men and them slipping away. Like the Project 2025, Mike Johnson, weird, creepy, right-wing Christian shit.
Christian nationalist.
Christian nationalist
yeah.
shit
Yeah.
is not appealing to a big segment of young men who are not like, you know, just traditionally conservative.
It makes me think a lot about an interview that you did a couple of months ago with two political scientists. I can't remember who it was. And they were talking about trying to poll on Project 2025.
Yeah.
And they said that it was really hard to get poll responses to it because they would ask people, like, what do you think about this element from Project 2025 or this element? And they would always say, you're making that up.
Yeah.
That's not real because it is so hard to believe. So anything that can kind of pierce through people's disbelief that there's no way they're really going to ban porn. I even find that hard to believe. And I know they would do it. I mean, I do believe it, but I have to really think, like, would they really do it? Yeah, I guess they would.
I've told this story on Pod Save America, so forgive me if you've heard it before. But
So is that that's the spin-off pod,
that's
right?
the spin-off pod, yeah. A friend of mine, I'm going to get it right because he was annoyed how I described it last time. A friend of mine who does not talk about politics a ton with me,
Okay.
and, you know, is bro-y,
Okay.
I will say.
All right.
Texted me out of the blue and was like, Project 2025, page whatever. I cannot fucking believe this. This is crazy. We got to do something. And it was like the first thing he talked to me about this election. And before I even knew what the page was, I was like, let me guess.
Wow.
That's the page with the porn ban. And he said, yes.
So did he find it because of one of the porn ads? Did you ask him?
No, this was a while ago. So this is
Okay.
before the porn ads.
Okay.
But I think this is it's
Yeah,
not a bad.
it is-
Look, it's not going to hurt. And
Yeah.
it's cheap, apparently. It's about 1,000% cheaper than running comparable ads on YouTube, and certainly cheaper than putting these ads
Wow.
on television.
Yeah. Should we promote the pod on porn?
We should. So the challenge here is Pornhub,
Yeah.
the big porn site, does not allow political ads or even ads.
Really?
Yeah, so,
so
they've had,
funny.
but there's a lot of other porn sites that still get, like they said in this piece, like tens of millions of views that they can put these ads on. So it's a little tricky thing to do, but they're doing it, especially because it also works because in some states have now have age verification to just go on any porn. So if you go to like Texas, if you go to Louisiana, they'll like you can't log on. There'll be this whole thing. So they were going to just do it for those states, and then Project 2025 happens, and they're like, oh, this is a gift. Now we can do it everywhere. Now we don't have to go like specific red states that are doing this.
Right. It gives people something to talk about at least, or to think about in terms of these stakes of this election that are maybe not the normal stakes that we are hearing the news that are I think very important, but maybe not registering for everyone.
It's also a signal too. It's not like yes, I guess you could be a single issue voter, and that issue could be porn, but it's a signal to people that like, oh, if they're going to ban porn,
What could be next?
that's a I've heard about abortion being banned.
Right.
I've heard about the IVF stuff, the birth control, now porn. Like this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know.
So have you encountered the ad on a lot of the porn that you're viewing? Do you tend to see it very much?
Well, what I'm looking at right now, as I do the show, which is I always watch a little porn while we talk.
That's what's up on the screen.
That's what's on the
that
screen.
makes sense.
Yeah,
that tracks. Yeah.
Anyway, that's our show for today. Wow, what a place to end. What a place to end. If you're listening or watching on
take
YouTube,
both.
whatever you do on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe. We got a new YouTube channel.
It's very exciting.
Like and tell your friends to like and
Really
subscribe.
cool
We're trying to
branding,
build
too.
subscribers on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And yeah, great new art for
It looks
offline
really
too.
beautiful.
The
Yeah.
design team here has done a fantastic job.
So if you haven't seen it, it's worth going online just to check out the art.